Okay, so I want to make one more pitch for the Founders Party. Um, I made a video uh, describing the Founders Party, which I'm sure nobody's seen. The idea is that since the Republicans are really no longer Republican, they're MAGA, and MAGA has nothing like Republican values. The idea is to sort of make a third party that kind of has the Republican values, but I'll describe the intent of the party. I'm calling it the Founders Party. I mean, maybe the name would be changed by somebody smarter than me, but the idea of the Founders Party is not to reflect the lives of the founders. They lived at a different time in history, and you know, they had a lot of different. They had slaves, for heaven's sake. Anyway, but it's the idea the founders had that the Founders Party wants to bring to life, and the idea that the founders had was to make the opposite of the government they were fighting. I mean, there's some English Parliament stuff sort of included, and I'm not really getting into the history of the why they made the American government what they made. Rather, the idea of the Founders Party is to make the political power in this country be in the hands of its citizens. The citizens will have all of the political power, and the representatives um, who populate the House of Representatives will represent the citizens and try to stay as close to the citizenry as they can and really reflect what it is the citizenry wants to do. That's what the Founders Party is about. And I mentioned, it's basically trying to bring America to the fabulous outcome it can be. A unique government. I was watching a series on Abraham Lincoln, and I think Dorothy Kearns Goodwin said something like, America was such a completely different country, the government that the founders founded. Um, After the Articles of Confederation didn't work, um, is brilliant and different than any other country. That's the idea, okay, that the Founders Party has, is that the political power should be in the hands of the people. And if you're a member of the Founders Party, you agree to accept the obligation that you will stay aware of the news, the equivalent of reading a newspaper every day. I realize with social media, you have a lot of different sources, but it doesn't matter where you get your source from as long as what you're reading is true, okay? Because right now in social media, you can say misleading, you can say outright lies, you can say that the 2020 election was stolen and say it as if that's a fact, and that's okay. So I don't think that should be allowed, and the Founders Party will certainly try to encourage legislation that would stop that. We would also encourage legislation that stopped social media platforms from having algorithms that drive you to a higher and higher emotional state, because the more emotionally upset you get, the more you click, and the more you click, the more money they make, or it has some sort of financial value, many clicks. So that's why they do that, and that's the Founders Party believes in free enterprise, but it also believes that free enterprise has to be regulated. I'm saying that because I think that's the lesson I got from John Maynard Keynes. I agree with regulation, okay, and I think that Congress has fallen far short in providing the um, environment that optimizes our individual pursuit of happiness. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is what each citizen is supposed to be entitled to have. And the Founders Party is going to try to make that happen for every citizen, right? So, and the Founders Party would treat every citizen equally, which in a way kind of adopts kind of what the left. I never understood why that kind of thinking was on the left side. I mean, it's the right side that wants to conserve as much power as possible to each individual citizen. And in that vein, why would you interfere with somebody's freedom just because they're gay or trans or something that you think is wrong? I mean, they should be allowed to, you know, have all the privileges of any citizen, right? I agree they can't hurt you. So I don't know, maybe you have to do something about people who went through their physical development with a lot of testosterone in their bodies, okay, and now want to play women's sports. You know, I think it should, in my view, it should be subtle. In other words, you should be able to do testing on an individual, I would think, to see whether or not they have unfair physical advantages because of their male origin. I would rather not make some blanket rule that if you were born male, you can't participate in women's sports, because I think that's also unfair. I think we have enough science that each case could be looked at by whoever's administering it, the school or whoever, and make a decision about I don't know how much testosterone an individual. I mean, I'm not a medical person, but I have no doubt that a reasonable decision could be made on a case by case basis. It's like abortion, right? I've never understood why, whatever side of abortion you're on, it's okay for you to make a rule that everybody has to follow. I mean, we during the there's a lot of abortion bans in the country currently, and you hear these horror stories of women who, some have actually lost their lives, and some have come very close to losing their lives because they couldn't get the medical treatment they needed when their pregnancy went completely wrong. And why is that okay? I mean, abortion is something, I mean, no matter what side of it you're on, couldn't you agree that abortion needs to be made at the case? At the case in point, with the individuals who know exactly what the situation is? I mean, that's my view. Anyway, that's my view, but that's neither here nor there. The Founders Party believes absolutely in the independence of the Federal Reserve System. No question about it. And because the Founders Party actually knows something, okay, we actually have, there are actually countries who have politicized their central bank and had terrible things happen to them as a result. So it's not a guess. And the United States pays the lowest interest rate on its debt of any country. And the United States, thanks to the Trump administration, has a very, very large debt. I think he added $3 trillion to the debt. But anyway, the debt is approaching $39 trillion. And so if you don't continue to have the lowest interest rate, a lot of your tax money is going to be going to pay interest on that incredibly huge debt. Okay? So, the Founders Party understands, because we're stay informed, we're citizens, and citizens have an obligation to stay informed on the issues and form an opinion and vote. That's part of being in the Founders Party, okay? And so, we know, I happen to have some education in economics. I'm certainly not an economist by any stretch of the imagination, but my major in college was economics, and I also have a master's degree in economics. But don't take it from me. Do some research on your own, and I'm sure anybody who knows anything believes that the Federal Reserve should be independent. I think Donald Trump demonstrates he doesn't know anything about anything every day, okay? I mean, his position on NATO is absurd, right? I mean, he is Neville Chamberlain as far as Ukraine is concerned, right? He wants to give Putin territory that Ukraine didn't even lose in the conflict yet. I mean, I'm an ever Trump. I was a Republican since my sophomore year of high school, but I'm certainly a never Trumper. I think Trump displays incompetence every single day. What manager of a company would put people in charge of the important segments of his company based on their, uh, uh, you know, kowtowing to him? I mean, I wouldn't hire that manager. You probably wouldn't either, okay? Because managers are supposed to choose people who the manager believes are going to be able to do a really good job. I mean, it's the it's the it's the manager's disgrace if he doesn't do that, right? I mean, the buck stops with you, right? So you want the best people you can find running those segments of your company because that's how you're going to succeed. Right? So, I mean, Trump has done exactly the opposite. So, anyway, I've made plenty of videos about how horrible Trump is. That's not what this is about. This is about trying to encourage the idea of this third party that actually has the values that the founders intended. Okay, America's got a fabulous government if it is what it was meant to be, which is all political power is in the hands of the citizens of this country. That's what the Founders Party believes in, and that's what it's all about. Yes, we are in favor of free enterprise, but as I said, we're warm to the idea of regulation, and in fact think some critical regulatory needs have not been um, in place because of Congress. Um, anyway, that's what this is about. I would like to see somebody with influence, because certainly I don't have any, pick up this idea and make a third party that had the values that I thought the Republican Party had. But the Republican Party is now the MAGA Party, and the MAGA Party's values, I can't describe them. First of all, I could never do them justice because, first of all, I don't think I know what the foundational philosophy of the MAGA people are. I mean, certainly, Make America First is an oxymoron. I mean, America was first until MAGA took over, right? I mean, I mean, we had all the influence in the world on NATO, right? I mean, they were an American power multiplier, NATO. Okay, now all of our allies have made I think it was the premier of Canada said, "Hey, listen, this is a rupture. We have to stand on our own without the United States now. We now know for certain we can't rely on the United States as an ally." I mean, that's the position, the global position that Trump has, kissing Putin's butt, right, and ruining all of our allies. I mean, and I think it's because I find him extremely ignorant. I know he says he went to Wharton, and I don't doubt that he did, but he doesn't show any sign of it. I mean, I have this tiny experience with Wharton. I was privileged to be in a group of executives, 25 executives from my company, had the gift of going through a course that Wharton Business School offered. It was just 13 weeks, so it's certainly not a degree from Wharton by any stretch of the imagination. But it was, Thursday night and then Friday and Saturday. Saturday we usually broke up early afternoon, But anyway, and it was 13 such classes, and every class was taught by a different professor from the Wharton Business School, and I learned so much from that experience. It was fabulous, but I don't pretend that I have a degree from Wharton because I certainly don't. I don't think I could get into Wharton. Okay, so, anyway, Trump shows no sign at all of having any education, as far as I can see. I mean, his view of where America should be in global politics. First of all, I'm not sure I know what it is, and I want to know what it is. So it's not as if I haven't looked. And it's anyway. I disagree in every way, and I'm proposing, since we don't have Republicans anymore, that, and we can't use the name Republican because the Republicans have given it to MAGA. Um, I'm proposing that we have a party that really wants to bring the republic to life in the way the founders imagined it. And that's what I am proposing. And wish somebody, I know nobody's going to watch these videos, but I'm hoping in my fantasy that somebody with influence picks up this idea and makes a party out of it. So anyway, that's my plea.